Sam, and making this quick video. It's a few hours before we have the big eclipse on Monday, and it's here on Sunday. And you know, just talking about the real transformative effects that we have coming. You know, as I've been saying, this eclipse is in Leo, and so you know, Leo is the sign of power, and of course, this could be the power of government. This could be the centralized power around which our life revolves, the kingdom that we create, and also the kingdom that we share. You know, we're all a king of something. We have a domain, whether we know it or not. You know, our domain is our family. Our domain is, in fact, in some ways, it should be related to our public life, which is the opposite sign of Aquarius. You know, we spread our influence from Leo into the kingdom of Aquarius. And so, particularly this Leo eclipse is also happening pretty close to Mercury Retrograde, which is again allowing us and compelling us to reflect on how we communicate and our message. And again, many times what we notice with the Mercury Retrograde is, instead of the messages we're putting out, it's the messages that are coming back. What are the messages that are coming to us now? This is very important for you to look at, because again, retrograde brings something to us. When planets are direct, which they are most of the time, it's our sort of transmission of the energy rather than our reception of the message. So pay attention to the messages that are coming your way now, and again, particularly as they relate to Leo kinds of themes. For instance, how you spread your power, how you spread your message, how you use words and language to either create a wonderful kingdom and to, you know, glorify a message that's worth glorifying, or if you're, you know, hostile, or if your messages are out of sync, or even, let's say, domineering or even abusive, because there can be a tendency in Leo, particularly Mercury in Leo, to get into things like propaganda, right? In the ancient times, the king was a sacred vessel. You know, Lord Krishna was a king, Lord Rama was a king, and they were the most revered and exalted. In fact, they were incarnations of God, and the kings were the ones who were supposed to be in charge. Now the kings are the ones who can hijack the message better, and in many ways use language and messaging as propaganda in order to seize power and then dominate the masses, because we live in this dark age. So again, the lesson for us all as people, as individuals, is to reclaim the message and to be honest with ourselves. We don't have to be honest with ourselves. We can just say, everybody else is wrong and stupid. The message is coming my way. They have nothing to do with me. It's just a bunch of stupid people. I mean, maybe that's true. We especially around eclipse time, we get a lot of strange messages. But what these messages do is they also make us get clear about our own values and use the proper discrimination to be able to filter through the messaging and connect with something that's core and something that is intelligent. This is an important part of this eclipse that maybe hasn't been talked about as much, but it's certainly important. And you know, I know myself, been putting together a lot of messages the last few weeks, and wanting to get out some very clear messaging and clarify certain things that are important to me, and trying to do that with the right amount of discrimination and the right amount of fairness and those kinds of things, and seeing how the message is being carried in the world and paying attention to what's coming back as a result is an important part of this eclipse. And again, this is revolving around, it's not just messaging in general, it's messaging around what is empowering to you, what your vision is, what is the vision you're putting forth. A lot of it revolves around work and the kingdom we're trying to create and the legacy. Again, legacy is very related to Magha. nakshatra, of course, and of course that's the nakshatra in Leo, which is, you know, the king isn't elected. He's, you know, the throne is birthright. So understanding this analogy, you know, we were born into a family, basically. We weren't elected. We didn't elect those people to be our family. We were born into it as a sort of culmination of our recent past lives. We took birth in this life, in these situations, to experience the lessons that we were meant to experience at this time. And those people, however much we might have agreed or not agreed with them, formed our early character. And then we have to take that character through our life and rebel against the things that are out of alignment with us. But then also we wind up retaining a lot of the, you know, the values that we inherited. So again, a lot of our legacy in life, which is what Leo is about, and our consistent vision and purpose relies on a deep level on those values that we learned very early. Because, you know, even psychologists say that in many ways our character is in many ways sort of fixed by the age of 7. Now, I don't know if I totally agree with that, but if we understand what character is and our basic way of seeing things, you know, it basically means that we kind of form an opinion about the world, or a kind of understanding, or a sort of, you know, feeling about what life is and how it unfolds. And, you know, by the time we're about 7, you know, of course, that doesn't mean we don't, you know, we don't grow and change, but it means that things that come later are put on top of that deep structure. So these things are meaningful, that we evolve. And, you know, the reason it has to do with this particular, let's say, eclipse or this particular energy is, when I think of Magha Nakshatra, you know, it's very easy to think of like the Pitris, the divine ancestors, the lineage. Our first lineage in this lifetime is our family. And if we're just defined by our family for our entire life, then we're not growing either. So we have to reconnect with a family and a lineage that is not just of this lifetime, but we also can't dismiss how our lineage in this lifetime and the family of this lifetime was a direct connection to all of the karmas and energies that we need to work through as well. And they come from the divine ancestors. We can moan and groan about our childhood and our plight, but it was exactly what we needed in order to be programmed in exactly the way we needed to be programmed in order to learn what we needed to learn. There was no mistakes. So this is why we're here. We're here to evolve our understanding of these things. And certainly eclipses are moments in time when sun, moon, and earth converge. They're very deep. And people who, you know, kind of act like, well, you know, just the fashion to talk about an eclipse and to not take it seriously, it's pretty strange. Eclipse is a big deal. And again, to say, well, they happen a lot, they happen all the time. They don't happen all the time. They happen a couple times a year. And because, you know, they're not uncommon, but they're also not typical, because they're predictable and we know when they're going to happen. They happen a few times a year, 2 cycles, 4 eclipses generally per year. Doesn't mean that the duration or that the moment isn't urgent and important, because it's probably only about a day and a half a year total time out of 365 days that we have eclipses, that the eclipse is actually taking place. So it's a big demarcation in every year. Eclipses are huge. And so we have to see these qualities, this being Magha, Leo. It's Rahu eclipsing the sun, which is starting off a new cycle. It's kind of blowing something open, whereas Ketu eclipses are kind of collapsing and concentrating things. Rahu is saying, okay, bam, we're going to blow this thing up. So you might see some things exploded and blown up a little bit right now. Ketu could also blow things up, but it's more kind of implosive and about the past. Rahu is about the future. Like a new future, a new course is being... And it can be kind of an explosive, messy kind of thing going on. And again, particularly because this one implicates, you know, Mercury retrograde. There's also the reason to pay attention to our words. You want to notice the message that's coming back about the kingdom you're creating and how your power as the king is filtering out into the kingdom, within your family, within your work, within your, if you're a public figure, public person, or whatever. And it's an opportunity to look at that message and get it better, or maybe not. It's completely up to you. You don't have to get it better, or you don't have to, get the message. People get the message wrong all the time, but this is a great opportunity. So if you're interested in seeing how this will affect your sign, I do forecasts for all 12 signs, because it's going to affect each sign differently. And it is part of a member site where I do daily forecasts. I've been doing daily forecasts for about 10 years. Literally every day, a forecast based on the Rashi, the Nakshatra, the Tithi, the aspects, the Vara, or the day of the year, based on the classic Vedic Panchanga, and the obviously the sidereal Rashi. So this is how I live my life, and these lunar cycles, these sun-moon cycles, are as ancient as history itself. This is how we're supposed to be living our life. We're supposed to be living in conjunction with these cycles. So if you want to see how this affects your sign, and you're not a member, I have a lot of members, but if you're not a member and you want to check it out, only 50 cents, and you can see how, particularly this one, because it's the eclipse, how this is going to resonate with you. And again, the effects of this are at least 30 days, because it's the beginning of a new cycle, but it's also, I usually say several months. And I usually say that the effects of the eclipse are until the sun starts getting closer to the other node. I don't usually say 6 months, but I think the major effects of the eclipse are right as we're experiencing it, and then for at least that month, 2 months, around 3 months, the effects of the eclipse, in my opinion, starts to wane a little bit relative to the sun, because then it starts getting closer to the next node. The sun will then start getting closer to Ketu in a few months. Then we start having more foreshadowing toward the next eclipse. This is how I tend to see it. There is nothing in the sastras so much about that, at least not that I've seen. However, this is a big cycle. There's no question about it. And if it's meaningful for you to see this in a more personalized way, then check it out. Otherwise, be cool and take care.